Let me go ahead and start. My name is Galina Tabanian, and I am going to be teaching calculus. Let me tell you about myself. I've been teaching calculus for the past 12 years, but I've been teaching math for the past 24 years. I am the honors pre-calc team lead and the BC calculus team lead at Plano West Senior High School. Last year, my students, when they took their AP exam, I had 100% passing grade. The average on the AP was 4.6 out of 5, and I was really, really happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and share with you the course because this is through momentum learning. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the PowerPoint that we've created. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So as you can see, we were supposed to have our open house last week, but I had some issues with connectivity and I couldn't join. So that's why we postponed it to today. And I just said that my name is Galina Tabanian and I've been teaching at Plano West. I have a bachelor's in computer science. And I did my teaching certification at the UT Texas in Dallas. I've taught Algebra 1 all the way to pre-calc, but lately I've been teaching calculus. And I also have an online class at Plano West because 10th graders and 11th graders, they don't go to our school. Our school is only designed for 11th and 12th graders. So I have a 9th and 10th graders who also take calculus. So I meet with them every morning at 8 a.m. and we do the lessons via Google Meet. I am married and I have 2 daughters who also graduated from Plano West. My older daughter is a mom now. She has two boys, so I'm a grandma as well. And my younger daughter, she lives in Seattle. So my older daughter, she is an cybersecurity analyst at Bank of America, whereas my younger daughter, she is an aerospace engineer, and she works for Boeing, NASA, and now she's working for Blue Origin. So let me tell you about this course. We're going to be meeting every Sunday from 3:30 till 5:30. And we will start the classes next month, February 5, all the way till April 30th. Now, those who are going to be in Calculus AB, we can, the course will stop on April 16th. And I can show you what each week we are going to be covering. So in order for you to do well on the AP exam, I'm going to be posting you homework questions on a weekly basis. So it is up to you to do the homework, but in order for you to get a good score, you have to do your homework. You have to. And I will assign only the odd problems. This way, you can go ahead and check it online, and I will tell you which book we're going to be using in a little bit. And sometimes I'll give you worksheets and then tests and quizzes that I have given my students at Plano West. So sometimes I'll do that for you to do some extra practice. Now, Your homework, it all depends like when you do them. You know, sometimes when you're tired, it's going to take you more time. But then if you do it right after the class and you know the material, you're going to go ahead and do it faster. To do well in this course, you have to have your pre-calculus skills really well and your algebra skills really well. And by the way, if you are planning to take the AP exam, that exam is going to be on Monday, May 8th, and it starts at 8 a.m. So make sure you sign up for it, because if you sign up late, there is a late fee, I think, for 45 minutes, $45. Now, in order for you to know what the exam looks like, it's always consists of multiple choice questions and free response questions. There are 45 questions on the multiple choice. 30 of the questions is calculator. I highly recommend you get the TIAD 4 Plus if you don't have one. So there are 30 questions that is calculator. You can use the calculator, and there are 30 questions where you cannot use your calculator, and then 15 questions where you can use your calculator. Sometimes on the calculator portion, even though it is on the calculator section, you can still do the problem without using a calculator. It's just that they'll give you a tool to keep it next to you, just in case if you want to use it. And then the free response has 6 questions. 2 of the questions you can use graphing calculator. Every question is 15 minutes long. You shouldn't be spending more than 15 minutes on each question. Of course, it has parts A, B, C. Sometimes it has D. You have to have really good handwriting. Your handwriting should be clear. You have to make sure you organize your work. Remember that whoever is going to be reading your paper, they don't know you. You have to make sure that your X's or the approaching sign or the infinities, they are clear, because they might not give you credit if they don't understand what your handwriting is about. And then the other 4 questions are non-calculator. And same thing for A, B, and BC. There's always 6 questions, 2 questions calculator, 4 questions non-calculator. And we will practice those type of questions during the course. I have to tell you that all those questions are AP released questions. If you have time in your schedule, you can always Google AP released questions with their scoring, and you can practice those as well. And you can see how the AP rubric is. I always tell my students that, you know, don't rely only on the book homework questions and the calcchat.com. Always go to the AP Central website, check the scoring, check and see how the documentation is, so that you will practice from day one to document your work. So there is a total of 12 chapters. Not all 12 chapters are in the AB, okay? Some of them is in the AB, but of course, BC has a total of 12 chapters. Every time that we're going to meet for 12 weeks. Every single time that we're going to meet on that Sunday, we're going to cover an entire unit. So basically, I'll be teaching the entire time. And then if you have any questions, we can go over those questions. But mostly it is going to be like me teaching the course. Don't forget that usually BC course, we start normally in school in August and we finish in April. But of course, there's like breaks, there are test days, there are quiz days, there are pep rally days. So that's why it's taking that long. Whenever it's just this course, 2 hours, nonstop, me teaching, I can just pinpoint the ideas that you have to know. So we have the limits question unit, we have the derivatives on unit 2, and then we still have derivatives and curve sketching, applications of differentials. And I will go ahead and post this in on the Google Drive for all of you to have access and see what the units are. And as I said, there is a total of 12 units. And I will share with you something right now so that you will see what is going on. Whenever students take the AP exam, the free response questions, sometimes students think that they have to like get a 9 out of 9 on every single free response questions in order for them to get a 5 on the AP exam. I have to tell you that some of my students on certain free response questions, maybe they score a 1 or a 2 because those free response questions are pretty challenging and they can still get a 5. So I don't want you to be discouraged whenever you take your AP exam that you don't know how to do like a letter or 2 letters per free response, because there's always points you can get from here and there. Sometimes whenever you look at the scoring, they give you 1 point for just writing the units. If you have the correct units on all 3 or 4 sections, they'll give you 1 point out of 9. So anytime, whenever you're doing free response, try to write down all your thinking process. I know that calculus, a lot of students can do things in their brain, but whenever it comes to free response, you have to tell the reader what was your thinking thoughts. If you have any questions, you can always email momentumlearning.org for getting an answer, and then I will be providing you my email as well. Just in case if you have any specific question, you can always email me and let me know. I will have an email through Momentum Learning, and I will share that with you. Now I would like, I know that David is here and Claire. I was just gonna ask some of you if you are already taking calculus, or will this be the first time you are taking calculus? If each one of you can write in the chat if you are already a student, and if you are you in BC or are you in AB calculus? Just let me know so that I'll know how to design my classes and how much I need to give notes. So I know that there are some students in here. So if anyone can write down in the chat if they are. First time I want to do both AB and BC, but I still have 2 years for this. She's a sophomore. Good job. Good job. Excellent. I hope I'm saying your name right, Xiali. Xiali, are you right now in pre-calculus? taking AB will take the AP exam in May. And David, what unit are you on right now? Are you in antiderivatives? My school has a mandatory class of Algebra 2, so I'm doing that and doing pre-calc on Khan Academy. Only done 10%, though. Oh, sorry. I'm going to have some hard time pronouncing those names. I'm sorry. Good job, Piang, for doing all that. Excellent job. Now, I need to let you know, Piang, that calculus, I know that you're doing pre-calc on Khan Academy. You also need to make sure that you know your unit circle, because in calculus, we use a lot the unit circle. So while you're doing the Khan Academy, try to get a head start on the unit circle, trigonometry. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to provide you a worksheet that has all the trigonometric functions that you know. Just say pay as in pay. Oh, good job. You know, unit circle from Algebra 2 and radians. Awesome. That is great. That is great. Good job. Okay, pay will be easy for me to say. Now let's see. There are other students who haven't responded yet. That's okay. I will provide you a worksheet at the beginning of our session on February 5 that will have everything that you need to know from pre-calc. It's just the unit circle, trig identities, and that's it. And you don't need to know all the trig identities. We just need the Pythagorean and the double angle identities. I guess others don't want to say if they're taking calculus or not. That's okay. But I just want to share with you like what I'm going to be doing whenever we meet from February 5 and on. Let me go ahead and share with you a worksheet. But before we share with you a worksheet, I did this PowerPoint because we had an open house on Wednesday for the 10th graders. And then students came to Plano West to figure out like what course to take. Should they take AB calculus or BC calculus? So this is the PowerPoint that I went ahead and shared with the parents. Of course, as I said, there are 2 AP calculus courses. The AB calculus, if you get a 3 or above, when you go to college, you get 3 credit hours, so you don't need to take this course in college at all. And if you take the BC calculus, it gives you 2 semesters, so there will be 6 credit hours that you can have prior you to going to college. And both calculus, we're going to be talking about derivatives and integrals a lot, so the entire course, you'll be hearing me saying, take the derivative, take the integral, take the derivative, take the integral. And the course that I'm going to go ahead and teach, of course, will make you ready to take the AP exam in May. And I also said that students who take calculus as a junior, you can take multivariable calculus as a senior. So some schools do offer multivariable calculus, and some schools, they join a community college, and then a professor from the community college comes and teaches the course. So if you take a look at this sheet over here, this PowerPoint, anything in yellow is in AB calculus and BC calculus. And then, of course, the yellow and the white together is all of BC calculus. So first, we're going to start with limits. Then we're going to talk about derivatives, implicit differentiation, and related rates. That's our second unit. The third unit will be curve sketching and optimization. Then we're going to do antiderivatives and differentials, definite integration, logarithmics, exponentials, inverse trig, and then area volume. This is for the AB. And then everything else in white is for the BC calculus. Now, is this course challenging? Yes, it is. The pace for BC, it goes really, really fast. It is complex. You have to know your algebra 2 skills. You have to be really good with your pre-calculus skills. And then whenever you're reading a word problem or anything, it requires higher level thinking, you know? It's not like an algebra 2 question where the teacher tells you, this is what you do whenever you see this. You have to think about, okay, which one should I use over here? Should I differentiate? Should I integrate? So it needs higher level thinking. And then, as I told you, documenting your work is very, very important. Try to have neat handwriting, and then you're going to tell the reader what you did. So whenever you write something, you have to use mathematical terms. And in order for you to decide which course you're going to take, should I take AB or should I take BC calculus? If you are aiming to go to the engineering route, of course, you have to take BC calculus. And then if you are aiming to go to the business route, you just need AB calculus, and that's good. I will provide you another email address with my momentum. And then this is the book that we will be using. I think I tried to look up this book online to see if you can have access to it for free, and it wasn't free. It was like $145 or something like that. So the 8th edition, which is the exact same book, and I found the website for it, it's going to be in my homework assignment, it is free. So we're going to be using the 8th edition because those two books are identical. It's just that this one costs money and you don't need to pay money. We'll just use the 8th edition. And then I just want to show you like what we will be doing. Anytime, whenever I go ahead and want to teach something, I will provide the worksheets in that Meet ahead of time. You can print them if you want, or if you're using an iPad, you can use your iPad and then write notes on it. Most of the time, you know, I'm going to provide you notes, but if there is a specific worksheet that I want you to go ahead and work on it, I will provide you the PDF, and then we'll just go ahead and use that. So as I said, honors pre-calculus is a prerequisite for this course. We do talk at the end of pre-calculus things about limits. So since our first unit is going to be about limits, we're going to practice problems like this. So today it's not a day for me to teach or anything, but I just want you to be at least figure out what my teaching style is and everything. So what I will do, I will just take a picture of my worksheet and start working on it. And then we will go ahead and talk about limits. And what I'll do, I'll say, in order for you to find the limit, and then I'll write over here. Usually we write limit as f of x as x approaches a constant. And then you can write the limit of f of x as x approaches a constant from the right side, or you can say limit of f of x as x approaches a constant from the left side. So I will go ahead and teach you the different ways of doing those. Whenever you see a plus sign over here, you go towards the constant from the right side. Whenever you see a negative symbol after the constant, you go towards that constant from the left side. And whenever there is no plus or minus, you have to go towards that constant from the right and the left. So let's say we're going to go ahead and do letters A through D. And I want to go ahead and find what is the y value approaching. Whenever you see the word limit, it means what is that y value approaching? So let's say I'm going to go ahead and find out what the y value is approaching when we're going towards 0 from the right side. So let's say 0 is over here. This is my x value, 0. Whenever I'm going to go towards 0 from the right side, because there is a plus sign here, I just put my pen on the graph and go towards 0 from the right side. Notice over here, the y value is going to be 0. And then the second one says, what is it approaching to whenever it's going 0 from the negative? So I'm going to go towards 0 from the left side. So I take my pen and go towards 0 from the left side, and I'll notice that that is approaching 0. Whenever you do not see plus or minus, you just see the value constant, you have to use both sides. So you have to go from the right side and the left side. And if they both reach the same y value, there is a limit, because those are functions. For every x, there is only one y. So if they are both approaching the same y value, you say that the limit over there is 0. And then f of 0, this is like basic algebra 1. When the x value is 0, what is the y value? It is 0. So this is the first one, which is an easy idea. Now, what if I go ahead and take my eraser and erase all this, and instead of using 0, I'm going to use another number. Let's say I'm going to go towards x approaching -2 from the right side, x approaching -2 from the left side, x approaching -2, and then f of -2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my pen and draw a vertical line at x equals -2, so that I will focus and I keep my concentration in that area. So it says over here, what about if you're going towards -2 from the right side? So you take your pen and you go towards -2 from the right side, and you will notice that the y value over there is actually -2. Now it says go ahead towards -2 from the left side. So you're going to go towards -2 from the left side, put your pen, go towards -2. Even though over there is a hole, but the word limit doesn't mean what the y value is. It means what is the y value approaching to. Okay, it does not mean what is the y value. What is that y value approaching to? So in this scenario, it is approaching 0. And now whenever we are asked to find what is the limit as x approaches -2, there is no plus or minus. That means you have to use both sides, the left side and the right side. Remember, this is a function. For every x, there is only one y, because those two blue lines, they don't connect, they don't show me the same y value. We say that the limit does not exist. And I always tell my students, there was a movie, I forgot the name of the movie, where the girl goes to a competition and she was like wondering what is the answer over here. And then when they asked her the question, she was like, oh my gosh, this is the time where such and such was sitting in front of me and he had a haircut and all that. Oh, does not exist. I forgot the name of the movie. I should ask my students about it. All I know that is I watched it. But anyway, so this is how I remind my students that anytime, whenever those two lines don't connect, you'll say that the limit does not exist. And then the last letter D, if it says, what is f of -2? You have to take a look at this part over here. When the x value is -2, what is the y value? It is -2, because this is the point that is defined. This is a hole. We cannot say that's answer. So the only answer is -2. So as I said, whenever we do those problems, and if there is ever a worksheet, I will always go ahead and upload the worksheet for you so that you will go ahead and use your iPad and take notes on it, rather than copying all these graphs on a piece of paper, wasting time. You'll just either print it or you use your iPad and you write notes on it. Now, we're going to do the same problem, but instead of going towards -2, I'm going to go towards +2. So I'm going to erase these. And we're going to go towards +2. So when x approaches 2 from the right, when x approaches 2 from the left, when x approaches 2, and then f of 2. So I'm going to highlight 2. It makes it easier. I will just be focusing in this area rather than the entire graph. We're going to go towards 2 from the right side. So I take my pen and I go towards 2 from the right side. As I said, even though it's an open circle, there is no y value over there, but I do not care what the y value is. It says, what is the y value approaching to? And in this case, it is approaching +2. And then if I go ahead and do the same thing from the left side, I'll go ahead and take my pen and go towards the left side. And then I notice that it is approaching 2 as well. And then whenever there is no plus and minus, we're going to go ahead and use the left side and the right side check and see if they both meet. If they do meet at the same location, then we say there is a limit, and the limit over here is +2. And then whenever they say, what is f of 2? I'm going to go ahead and erase this so that it will be more visible. When the x value is 2, what's the y value? A lot of students totally ignore this point over here. They kind of not see it, but actually there is a point over there. So when the x value is 2, the y value is -1. So this is like I'm going to be doing some worksheets. Anytime I'm going to go ahead and give you a worksheet, I'll be using a worksheet that I've already uploaded, and then we will do that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you the app that I usually use whenever I give notes. So anytime, whenever I'm going to go ahead and give you notes, I'll start with a blank canvas. And then I like using like grids. This way it will I will be able to focus and figure out where I'm writing. Just a minute. Something happened. It's okay. I'll figure it out in a minute. Anyway, I will go ahead and give you like notes. So we're going to be reviewing, let's say, unit circle. So we will start with the unit circle, and then we will go ahead and do the radian measures. And I can call on people when I'm doing on these problems so that we will have everyone engaged. Right now, for example, I know that there are some people over there, but I can't see your faces, and you have your mics off. So how will I guarantee that you're even listening to me? So I'll be calling on someone and I'll be like, okay, Rebecca, tell me what is this angle over here? So this angle, Rebecca, if you don't want to see it, you can at least write it in the chat. Okay?
0 pi.
Good job, Rebecca. So it is 0 or 2 pi. And then I can say, hey, Alexander, what about this angle over here? What's that angle? Okay, I guess Alexander, either his mic is not working, or let me check the chat. And then, oops. Where is it? Okay, sorry, Alexander. I didn't have the chatting in front of me. I couldn't see, but good job, Alexander. Now at least I can see you. What I'm going to do next time is I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out if I can have a double screen so that I can see my screen and I can see your faces. Because right now I just have one computer over here. It's either me seeing the chats or me seeing the my screen. So I'm going to ask my son-in-law to go ahead and add me another screen over here. It will be easier for me to do the sharing and me seeing your faces. Okay, I don't know what's going on right now. But anyway, and then once I'm done, with my document, I can go ahead and forward it to you. So let's see, why is this not sharing my screen? I'm going to click here. And then it says share. Oh, there it is. Now I can see it. But then I can't see your faces. I can only see my screen. And then I will be asking about the ordered pair, like for example, here it's √3/2, comma 1/2. And then here it's √2/2, comma √2/2, and so on. And then here we have 1/2 √3/2. And then whenever I'm done, I can go ahead and forward you this entire document. Or I can just go ahead and post it on the Momentum, and then you can see it from there. But I think that all our lessons are recorded, so you can always go back and listen to the recording and get a better foundation. Do you have any questions for me? Any questions for me? No questions? You have to make sure that you know your inverse trig. Those of you who haven't taken pre-calc, make sure you know your inverse trigs, like cotangent inverse, secant inverse, cosecant inverse. Where is the sine inverse? Where is the cosine inverse? Because whenever we do definite integration, you have to know all these rules. Because as I said, in order for you to be doing well in calculus, you have to have pre-calculus pretty down. Pretty much everything on pre-calculus. Any questions that you would like me to go over? You can write it in the chat. If you don't want to unmute yourself, you can go ahead and write it in the chat, and then I can respond that way. Any questions? No questions? Is everyone excited to take calculus? Are you taking calculus because you want to be taking calculus, or is there like someone telling you, no, you have to take this to get a head start? Are you trying to take calculus because it is you who decided to take? No response? No one wants to share their ideas. If I knew that no one wanted to share their ideas, I would have gone ahead and started with limits. Well, you know what? Since no one is going to be sharing their ideas, okay, good job. At least Alexander did say something. I want to grow and enrich my knowledge. Good job, Alexander. Yay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give you, we're going to do a couple of problems. So I'm going to give a head start on what we're going to be doing on the first time we're going to be doing limits. So I showed you some questions graphically, and now I'm going to go ahead and show you something that I'm going to do algebraically. So just a minute. Let me go ahead and open my blank canvas. Okay. So right now, if I'm going to go ahead and find limits algebraically. So for example, if I want to go ahead and find the limit of x approaching -3, and my numerator is x squared plus x minus 6 all over x plus 3. If I go ahead and plug in -3 in my equation, let's find out what this is. The numerator, if I'm going to go ahead and plug in -3 in x squared plus x minus 6, I'm going to get 9 minus 3 minus 6, which is 0. And if I go ahead and plug in the -3 in my denominator, I'll get -3 plus 3, which is 0. So anytime whenever you have 0 over 0, that problem cannot be done, you know, it is undetermined. You cannot have 0 over 0. Therefore, you need to factor. So anytime when your numerator and denominator are going to be 0, you have to factor. So let's go ahead and factor the numerator. We're going to say to ourselves, what are the two numbers that multiply together and gives me -6, and they add up to 1? So anyone? Julia, can you tell me what they are? Well, I can't see the chat. I just want to tell you that I can't see the chat. Let me see the chat. Is there a way I can see the chat? Oh, already. Both parents say I need to do it and I want to do it for future. 0, Rebecca, -5. Oops. Okay, I was just reading the chat question answers. So two numbers that multiply to -6 and adds up to 1. Anyone? Alexander, he said +3 and -2. Good job. So we're going to write x plus 3 and x minus 2 all over x plus 3. And then we're going to cross out the like terms. So limit as x approaches -3 for x minus 2, plug in -3 minus 2, and the answer is -5. So basically, whenever you're doing those problems and you get 0 over 0, basically this is a hole. When you graph this function, there is a vertical asymptote at x equals -3, or is there a hole? In this case, there is a hole. It's not a vertical asymptote, it is a hole. So this graph is going to look like this. It has a y-intercept of -2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is a dot over here, and this is what the graph looks like. So if you type this equation in your graphing calculator and you look at your graph, it's going to look like this. But there's no way you're going to find out the y value on your graph. Somehow you will see that the pixels over there are not connected. That's because there is a hole at -3, -5. Another question. So let me go ahead and show you another question that we're going to do. If I'm going to go ahead and find the limit as x approaches 0 of square root of x plus 1, minus 1 all over x. So let's find out what the limit is for the numerator. When I plug in 0, I'm going to get 0 plus 1 minus 1. So square root of 1 is 1 minus 1, which is equal to 0. And of course, if you plug in a 0 in your denominator, you're going to get 0. So anytime whenever you have 0 over 0, it doesn't work. You have to do something to this problem. Of course, in this problem, you cannot factor. It's not like number 1. What you're going to do is you're going to multiply by its conjugate. By the way, conjugate, let me tell you what a conjugate is. If I say I have A plus B, and if I say what's its conjugate, the conjugate is A minus B. So you switch the inner sign. If it is a plus, it will be a minus. So in this case, I need to go ahead and multiply by the conjugate. And in order for you to multiply by the conjugate, you can't just multiply the top by the conjugate. To leave the balance, you have to multiply the top and the bottom by the same thing, because we are multiplying by 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this and this together. And of course, the x with the square root of x plus 1 plus 1. And by the way, if you multiply a minus b by a plus b, from algebra 2, we know that this is difference of two squares that is factored. It's going to give me a squared minus b squared. Why? Because a times a is a squared, a times b is ab, negative b times a is negative ab, and negative b times b is negative b squared. So anytime whenever you have a minus b times a plus b, you get a squared minus b squared. In this case, my a is actually x plus 1, and my b is 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to square them. Whenever you square a radical, the radical goes away, so you get x plus 1, and then the sign is always negative, and if I square the 1, I'll get a 1. All over, you leave the denominator as is. And now, before you plug in your 0, you have to always simplify. You cross out the 1 and the negative 1. So we get limit as x approaches 0, x over x times the square root of x plus 1. And then plus 1. Before you plug in your 0, you have to simplify. These x's cancel, so we will get limit as x approaches 0, 1 over the square root of x plus 1, and then plus 1. Now we plug in our 0, we will get 1 over the square root of 1 plus 1, and the answer will be 1/2. So that's a question that you might see on a multiple choice test. Whenever they give you limit questions, basically limit questions are multiple choice questions. And then sometimes there is trig involved. There are 2 formulas that you should know about trig whenever you're doing limits of trig, and I will go ahead and teach you that on February 5th. There is a rule that those of you who are in AB Calc, and I think Alexander said that he was in AB Calc, maybe his teacher said it, whenever you have sine x over x, the answer is always 1. So you have to memorize this. You have to memorize this. This is a rule. And then one day when we do L'Hôpital's rule, I'll tell you what to do with that. So this is a rule that you should know. You know how you should know your multiplication skills? This is one of the rules that you should know about trigonometric limits. Whenever you have sine x over x, it is 1. Even though on the unit circle, the y value at angle 0, it is 0. So the limit of sine x, when it goes to 0, it is 0. And then the denominator, the limit as x approaches 0 of x, it is 0. Even though the answer is 0 over 0, but the rule says that if we ever have this idea, the answer is 1. And then one day, when I'm doing L'Hopital's rule, I'll tell you what's happening. Another rule that you should know in trig, it says limit as x approaches 0, 1 minus cosine x all over x. So on the unit circle, the x value at angle 0 is 1. 1 minus 1, it is 0 over 0. Even though the answer is 0 over 0, which is undetermined, but the rule is that the answer is 0. So you have to know those two rules memorized. I know that it is almost time that is almost, the time is almost over. It's like 6:57, and then the open house was 1 hour long. I just wanted to go ahead and tell you about myself, about my teaching style, about the worksheets that I'll be using, about the notes that I will be using, how my teaching style is, just in case if you want to sign up for this course or not. But as I said, in order for you to take this course, you have to have good algebraic skills. You need to know how to factor. You need to know how to deal with the unit circle. And the more you are exposed to those type of questions in calculus, the better you're going to perform in high school. And of course, if you're going to be taking the AP exam. So this is it for today. If you have any questions for me, write it down for the chat so that we will wrap this session up. And I will see you on February 5th. As I said, if you have any questions for me, go ahead and type it in the chat.